Total War Warhammer 2 gives us access to a wide range of characters, and special characters and legendary lords, all sorts of great things from the lore. But one thing that it doesn't, or at least it hasn't touched on just yet, is any kind of master assassin type character. Namely, I'm talking about Deathmaster Snikch and Shadowblade. Now, these two characters are pretty awesome assassin style characters in the rosters of both the Skaven and the Dark Elves, but the problem with them is that even though they're these really awesome, remarkable special characters, they aren't supposed to be leaders. Both of them actually have rules outright preventing them from being leaders. So, how would that make a translation to Total War Warhammer 2? Would we finally see the inclusion of legendary heroes? Something that a lot of us have asked for before. And in this video today, I want to talk about Deathmaster Snikch. It's going to be kind of a two-part video. Tomorrow we'll be talking about Shadowblade, but I want to talk about how this character might translate to a campaign that might feature Deathmaster Snikch in it. Maybe a Clan Eshin campaign with him as some sort of character, or an ability kind of like what we see with the Green Knight, where he can be summoned up after a certain level of, I don't know, skullduggery or debauchery, something like that for the Skaven to do to get him to summon up. So, in our typical fashion, we will read from the 7th edition Warhammer Army book for Skaven, read their little lore blurb, go through their special rules and magic items, and then tomorrow we'll do the exact same thing for Shadowblade. But again, we can discuss how those characters might be incorporated into either a legendary hero mechanic or bending the rules and making them as legendary lords. Do I really feel that the legendary lords bending the rule is a good idea? No, because I mean, if this is well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's read the lore blurb, then we'll jump into the actual, the representation across what this might be like in the game. So, Deathmaster Snikch. Shrouded in legend, Deathmaster Snikch is a figure of dread speculation, a rumor of sudden death. The mere thought of Clan Eshin's most deadly killer causes warlords to squint at shadows. Speculation of Snikch's deeds or whereabouts runs up and down the underway. This suits Lord Sneak, the Grand Knight Lord of Clan Eshin, member of the Lord of Decay. As long as no one knows Snikch's real location, the no clan can feel safe. The ramifications of such mystique are always considered by Clan Eshin and the Council of 13. Once deployed, Deathmaster Snikch does not fail, but the list of targets grows more quickly than even this perfect killer can eliminate them. When acting on council orders, Snikch leaves his distinctive symbols. Warlord Sisk of Merkpit had his neatly removed head stacked atop 100 heads from his Stormvermin bodyguard. When Southland's clan Festerlingus began selling their own mutated mix of giant rat and alligator, it was Snikch's mark that was scrawled over the mutators' bodies. Such rituals are enacted when the Night Lord wants to seed terror, an example to those that cross Clan Eshin or the Council. The Deathmaster has been unleashed upon the world above, but it is harder to divine his presence. Almost assuredly, the fate of the celestial wizard Heinrich Frizen found flayed in his still locked observatory tower was the work of Snikch. Some speculated about demons, but the truly erudite know demons seldom leave so few clues. The dwarf Lord Dromgar, brother to King Belagar of Carrick Eight Peaks, was slain in a heavily fortified stronghold. That Dromgar is still missing, his head points strongly to the ultimate killer. While a master of murder, it is unlikely that Snikch is also behind many of the Ratmen's most devious acts of sabotage. The Great Fire of Lothern, the bombing of the Imperial Navy in Reichsport, and the destruction of the dwarf engineer Thornik Thorson's Iron Cog Dragon on the eve of the Battle of the Bitter Peaks. Who knows how many of the world's disasters are the work of Snikch? In battle, Deathmaster Snikch is a shadow, able to appear at will. His multiple weeping blades, including one held in his whip-like tail, weave a deadly steel blur. It is the last thing many leaders see before joining the countless warlords, princes, and notables who have been already fallen before the matchless assassin. So, even in his lore, we get the mechanics of a hero, this master of sabotage, this uncanny assassin, this individual who appears and disappears on the battlefield as well as in the solidified, fortified confines of someone's home. So, how would we kind of see him transit into Total War? I think that with Elithanar, we have seen a character like a Deathmaster Snikch, right? That warden character that we get with Elithanar that goes out and just outright assassinates and gibbs someone. I could see that as a same mechanic we could see for a Clan Eshin incorporation into the Skaven. This doesn't talk about how, oh yeah, many a different Skaven clan use Deathmaster Snikch, it talks about Clan Eshin using him, especially the Grand Night Lord himself, Lord Sneak. I don't know if we'd see Lord Sneak as a legendary character. He doesn't really have any real cases of repute. I mean, Snikch himself has been in and out of the lore, killing off important characters. I think he killed, I believe it was Valton during the Storm of Chaos. There's just, and then subsequently in the end times, oh my god, what a anticlimactic fight between Archaon and Valton, that then Snikch comes in and just stabs him. Like, holy shit, that pissed me off. But I still think he's a really cool character because Master Assassin characters, I think, are really, really cool thematically for these two races. I mean, the Dark Elves and the Skaven are both seated so much in subterfuge and, again, skullduggery. I love that word. That it lends itself so nicely to them being a part of their repertoire. Now, I kind of like I like how they're bound to a right, or at least how Lithanar's warden is done, right? His assassin is bound to a right. You have to use that right, then it gets you your assassin. You can go out and do your massive assassination. I like that because it sets them on a recycle, allows you to kind of pace out when you have to use them so you can use it strategically, and it's just a little bit more thematic, right? You're not going to have Deathmaster Snikch just jumping from settlement to settlement to settlement, offing everyone's head. While awesome, not necessarily lore-friendly and thematic. Also, a little overpowered. So what I think would be cool is, again, something in the lines of either a Green Knight, where you've got something like Skaven Skullduggery, because I love alliteration, or something like a right, where he is accessed from a Clan Eshin, like a Clan Eshin right that's maybe like a Contract of Blood or something like that, wherein it's Lord Sneak summoning Deathmaster Snikch to assassinate a target for 5 turns, 10 turns. He can join armies, he can be on his own doing his own thing, doing sabotage and assassination, or you can have him on the actual battlefield himself. And I think that's important, is having these characters represented on the battlefield is going to be huge, because they are very strong on the battlefield. And maybe you don't have any chance of assassinating a faction leader, but you can use Deathmaster Snikch or Shadowblade to jump up close and personal in combat to get the job done. Let's take a look at his special rules. Again, special rules are nothing crazy here. It's about the exact same special rules as a Skaven assassin, so we can just kind of transfer those right on over. Scurry away, scout, sneaky infiltrator. He does have always strikes first, which we haven't really seen make a huge translation into Total War Warhammer outside of martial prowess being an advantage to melee attack and melee defense. So maybe always strike first for this guy is just he has a like Master Assassin passive bonus to melee attack, which would be kind of cool and thematic. Killer not a leader, so this is the same rule that Shadowblade will have, but it basically just means that they cannot be the leaders of an army. They cannot be generals. They pretty much are bound to the hero status if we're looking at them on a Total War Warhammer kind of scale. Now, he does have dodge and he does have hidden. Dodge is really cool here, as it just basically gives him a 4-up ward save, which is, I think, a pretty cool thing here. And we see this very represented across the way with Sisters of Slaughter and with a number of other unarmored characters where they have some sort of passive dodge, physical resistance, or ward save. And I think that, again, we can just translate that right in here for Deathmaster Snikch. Give him that same ability. And hidden, again, he's going to have stock if that's going to be his, if he's going to be an assassin at all. Wading through like the whole lines, just looking very conspicuous with a big old hood on. No, he couldn't possibly want to kill me. So one thing, though, that Snikch has is called the Cloak of Shadows. Woven from stolen human hair and spider silk, the Cloak of Shadows conceals and silences the wearer. So, what I kind of think of this as is something that's like it is an item, you can put it on him, and it is maybe an advanced version of stock, in that you can get up close and personal, then that's when your stock drops, and you then are revealed and you do some damage. But if you get out of combat quickly, maybe someone casts Skitter Leap on you, who knows, you can then restock very fast. The assassin kind of has a stock ability that is very quick. He can come in and out of stock very fast, but I would like this to be even more so. Like, if he's not in combat, then he can go right back into stealth. I think that would kind of make him thematic. Of course, he would have to have very low armor as a result, and I would assume high melee defense because he is an assassin here. But I think what would make Snikch cool here is, while you maybe summon him via a right, all assassins or all hero actions have an increased success chance. Something like that. So if you have him on the board, even if you can't use him to assassinate or sabotage, you can say use your other characters, your other heroes, to a little bit better effect. And that's what I think might be a little bit nifty for these guys, is if their legendary heroes are attached to some sort of benefit that benefits the faction outside of just the presence of this hero. The other magic item that Snikch has is Whirl of Weeping Blades. Now, Weeping Blades haven't, I believe if you're playing this Skaven campaign, you can get them as an item, and they are armor-piercing weapons that multiply their wounds by D3, so they do quite a bit of damage. Now, I could just see this as being AP damage, anti-infantry, and magic damage, or maybe even some sort of either a reduction to a melee defense or a reduction to armor, something like that, to kind of help make these things a little bit more stand out. I mean, Deathmaster Snikch has killed some of the most prolific people throughout the Warhammer universe, and he should be feared whenever he is on the battlefield. He shouldn't just be, oh, well, you know what, he's just a souped up assassin. I don't think it should be like that. I think it should be something that you're like, oh shit, okay, they brought Snikch, I gotta do something to negate him as fast as possible. I gotta like lock him down with a net of Amatak and then just shoot him to death with arrows. Whatever you have to do to get Snikch out of the game should be your kind of huge priority if you see him there. Very much the same way, if you're a Skaven player and you've got Snikch, it should be almost like a, well, I know I'll be able to kill a character for sure in this engagement. So that's what I think should be the kind of crux, or I guess the kind of tipping point for Snikch, is that he should be very fear-causing and very fearful, because he's just going to be ripping through things, anything he attacks. But I think that putting legendary heroes into the game is going to be huge. And we take a look at some of the Empire special characters, we see some that are hero characters that are meant to be standard bearers. I mean, don't get me started on standard bearers, musicians, and sergeants being a part of the game, because I swear to fucking God, if they were, I would have just the most giant Warhammer boner every time I saw some sort of massive high elf banner. But being that they're not, I'm not mad, I'm not upset, I'm just disappointed. So I think that adding legendary heroes would be just a great kind of flavorful addition, especially with what we're going to get with Ogre Kingdoms and Chaos Dwarfs, or whatever races they decide to add with 3. This is maybe their chance to kind of flesh that out. We have so many characters that do fit that hero role way better than they do. Way better than they do than a Lord role. And I'd love to kind of see them come to the fore. I mean, you can even look at the Lizardman roster, which doesn't really, I mean, it does have kind of an assassin character in Oxoyotl, he that hunts unseen, but they also have Chacox, not cock, Chacox, which is very similar to Gorok, but he's just pretty much like a souped up temple guard, more or less. And I think that if they were to incorporate these, we could have a little bit more variety in our armies. We didn't need to have these huge, awesome, massive, legendary lords and then just some heroes, or just some non-heroes, or just some units if we wanted to. I think having, especially from a campaign perspective, having the access to these characters makes for a little bit more fun and enriching campaign experience. Although Total War Warhammer 2's campaign is way better than 1's, so if they don't ever come, I won't be terribly disappointed. But again, I'll be disappointed. But guys, thanks for watching here today. We'll be jumping into the Dark Elves, into Shadowblade here tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. If you're just tuning in, then make sure you head on over to Turin's channel. I'll be putting this up slightly before his stream goes live, but his Eternal Challenger finals are today, and I'll be helping him by casting that alongside him. So as always, guys, thanks so much for watching here today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below. I'm cranking out a lot of 40k videos, but don't worry, I haven't forgotten about Warhammer Fantasy. Plenty of Warhammer Fantasy goodies coming. I'm going to be working on an end times video for the Empire next, so that is on the horizon, so please look out for that. But as always, guys, have a good one and take care.